Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining our special live stream training. This is one of three. They're going to be the same class. We're just doing them on different times. So thanks for joining me for the first one. And we are going to be talking about the fall software update that is coming out on Monday. This Monday, going to be October 3rd is when that's going to come out, be available. Now, this is focused on the North American release. I know I do have folks from over Europe and Australia watch, so you're going to have some different things in the software, but some of the functions will carry over as well. So thanks for watching there. If you do have any questions, if you're joining on Zoom, just look at the top of the bottom of your screen. Wherever your Zoom controls are, you should find a little Q&A button. Click on that, type in your question, hit submit, and I'll get to those at the end of the session. If you're watching live on YouTube, just feel free to use the live chat wherever it is on the device that you're using, and we will go from there. We'll answer those questions there as well. So we've quite a bit to cover. We're going to go through just the highlight slides, and then we'll actually go live on the tool and do that comparison backwards and forwards between the two, the current update and the next update that's coming out in a couple days. So with that, my name is Jason Gabrinas. I'm one of SnapOn's National Diagnostic Technical Trainers. Been in the training department the last 9 years or so, traveling around North America, helping techs and shop owners get the most out of their diagnostic equipment. Before I did that, it was a couple years as a diagnostic sales rep with SnapOn. Got about 30 different SnapOn franchisees I work with, as well as the shops that they serviced in order to help everyone get the most out of their diagnostic. Then before that, it was 8 years at Subaru. So worked in a Subaru shop, and then over time became the diag guy in the shop. So I always ended up with the drivability problems, the intermittent problems, the weird wiring problems that would show up on those cars. And that's really where I cut my diagnostic teeth and learned a lot about the diagnostic processes that I use today. And before that, a bunch of other miscellaneous wrenching jobs. Been a little over 25 years under hood for me. So at the task at hand for the software is we're going to talk about the ultimate competitive edge in the bay. Always keeping your SnapOn tool up to date and current on whatever the latest software is helps you keep that competitive edge in the bay. And the software does it just keeps growing, right? Every single time we do an update. So you see in the last 2 years how much the software has grown. We're talking about system coverage, PIDs, which would be data coverage, and then functional tests, scripted tests, output controls, things of that nature, how much they've grown. Over 50% growth in that functional test area in domestic. And you'll see good double-digit growth in the European sector too. We've really been focusing on that, adding capabilities there. And then Asian as well. You can see 23, 24, and 46% growth respectively in those areas. So tons of growth, and that's just in the last 2 years. And every 6 months, we do an update. Also, to note, back in the spring, we added the code scan and clear function for all of the manufacturers that we cover that have 2022 model year vehicles, and that still will carry over into this release. Who do you think needs that, though? You might think, well, I don't scan brand new cars, but there's plenty of people that do. And you might have occasion to scan one yourself. For example, body shops, they could have a brand new car, not even sold off the lot yet, and they need to scan it, at least do a pre-scan or a post-scan. Rental car facilities, most rental cars are going to be current model year under 30,000 miles. So they may need a pre-scan or post-scan on there. Also think about sublet. So if your shop does sublet work for a rental car place or a body shop, you might have occasion to use that. Glass companies, dealerships could use them. They could have a brand new trade-in car, current year trade-in car, that happens. Or I know a lot of techs and dealerships also like using our tools over the factory tool, or maybe they only have 1 or 2 factory tools in the shop and they need another tool to use. So all good reasons to have that 2022 current model year code scan and clear. And we've actually been doing that for a few years now, where we have at least code scan and clear and then add the module coverage in as we go. Speaking of module coverage, these 12 makes have been added with their full module coverage: engine, transmission, body, air brakes, ADAS, whatever. These 12 manufacturers here, so you can see Genesis, Mazda, all of GM, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, Nissan, Infiniti, Subaru, Land Rover, Toyota, Lexus, and Volvo have 2022 full coverage, so to say. So full codes, data, functional test, anything you could expect with a prior model year vehicle, these have been updated and brought to 2022 as well. Let's get into some more the highlights by domestic, European, and Asian. So domestic, we get GM. We saw that 2022 model year update. Ford, we added in the 2021 or enhanced really the 2021 and newer Mustang Mach-E. So it's got 30 new modules in there, 41 total modules on the vehicle. PMI functions also. We talked about PMI in the last update on Ford F-Series, but we're also added PMI functions on the powertrain control module, ABS module, cruise control module, and the image processing module. So that is B for the cameras. And that is necessary. That's programmable module installation, and that is necessary when you replace a module on one of these vehicles. So that's a really nice add. That's a factory tool function. Continuing on with Cadillac, since they're part of GM, so they also got a 2022 model year update. Lincoln 2017 and newer Lincoln Continental vehicle dynamics control modules. That's the electronic suspension on 2017 and newer Lincoln Continentals. That's a fairly newer model of the Continental. It's one of the last models because from what I'm told, Lincoln is not making cars anymore. So they're all just sticking to SUVs and crossovers. Jeep and Ram. So 2014 and newer Jeep Cherokee and 2015 and newer Ram 1500, the 3-liter diesel that they're using in there, they additional SCR system support. So to work on these selective catalyst reduction systems on these diesel motors, much more capability added. We'll actually see that when we go live on the tool. There's a ton of new functions added for that. And the 3-liter Eco Diesel, believe it or not, is at least 20% of Ram production. So it is a good amount of those vehicles, 2019 and newer, or 2015 and newer, sorry on that. And then 2019 and newer Ram pickups driver assist system module, we added forward radar calibration. So that's another ADAS function. We keep adding to the ADAS functionality that we have out there. So that is some additional functionality there. European, big update on BMW chassis control. So there's multiple different suspension systems that are covered in this, just kind of rolled it all up into one. But electronic chassis, air suspension, they have a bunch of different names for them. But you see it goes back to 03 to 2010 in the 5 Series, 07 to 13 on the X5, and then the other model years up here on their corresponding makes for their electronic chassis systems as well. So big update there. And then Volkswagen and Audi, we know Volkswagen and Audi like their different engine variants. If you work with them, they have, it could be a 2-liter, but there's 5 or 6 different variants of this 2-liter engine in a car. So there's 7 new engine variants that weren't covered previously that are now covered. So that's a good update there. More ADAS when we get to Toyota and the Asian side of things. So front side rear or front side radar system coverage. So front side radar. So not the front radar, front side radar, right? Maybe for blind spot, cross traffic, that sort of thing. So you can actually add and calibrate those systems now. Genesis, this has been added special functions on the GV80, and then the GV70 just came out in 2022. That is a new model with full systems coverage on that model as well. Subaru 2020 and newer Outback keyless access system. So that's going to be for the FOBs. And then more ADAS on Subaru as well. Reverse automatic braking system, codes, data, functional tests on any applicable models that cover. Also added functionality to the tool. So pre and post scanning has been going on for a very long time on our tools, back since 2014, added that functionality. But now we have upgraded it again and come up with this new Diagnostics health scan. So this is a addition to the pre and post scans on the vehicle. It is more of a straightforward customer facing, customer friendly type report. So as you can see, this is what the cover page looks like right here. It's got a little picture of a vehicle. It's got the system report, any of the mileage and license plate if added, any of that stuff. And then just an overall, here's what needs attention. Here's where we don't have any issues found. And then it also does a pre-scan or a post-scan, whatever you happen to be doing at the time as well. Simplified language, like we said, includes the pre and post scans for your use in the shop, and also does upload and sync to the SnapOn cloud, just like all the pre and post scans do already. So here's what it looks like on the tool. So you got so you go into code scan, it says pre-scan, post-scan, and now we have the diagnostic health scan button. So that will add that additional page to the scan there. So pretty nice little add. Another thing, a functionality update to previous vehicles and data. Before on some of the tools, you weren't able to update. Say you wanted to update the odometer that you entered in or that came out of the vehicle. You wanted to put the license plate, customer information in there. So with the addition of this software release, that is now available on really all of our platforms that are updatable. So you can go in and edit customer information, edit files if you need to your heart's content on any of our current scans. Advanced custom data. So we're going to dive in pretty deep on this coming up when we go live on the tool. This is allowing us to build custom data lists, which we've already been able to do since forever. But now we can take those custom data lists to another level and build across categories. We have been able to do this for at least a couple updates with a few makes, but now it's been added with this update on 11 more makes. It brings us up to over 20 makes that are covered with this. And I'm going to walk you through how this works and how it's useful to you when we go live on the tool here in a few minutes. Also need to give a reminder about SnapOn security links. So this was introduced with the spring software update back in April, and it's pretty much just a rebrand of security access for vehicles, but it allows you to have a uniform method to access secured vehicle systems from your diagnostic tool. All right, so an up-to-date platform has the latest software communications content and access to web-based services. We think about web-based services like Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics, Quick Lookups, TSBs, things of that nature are web-based. They come to the tool over Wi-Fi, over the internet. So you do have to have a Wi-Fi connection and you do have to have current software to access. Access to those services are available for 6 months from the time of the update, plus a 1 month grace period. So whenever you update it, you get 6 months plus another month. After this period, you must install the latest software update or you will lose access to any of those web-based services. The software that's on the tool will still be usable by and large for the most part, because there are going to be certain vehicles you're not going to be able to access. But after that, you must install the latest release. Depending on the platform, these services can include Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics, Technical Service Bulletins, Service Resets and Relearns, that quick link menu, SureTrack, SnapOn Cloud Service, Oil Specs and Resets, Tire and Wheel Service, and SnapOn Security Link. Now, when it refers to the SnapOn Cloud, you see there's an asterisk there. That's because you can still access the previously uploaded documents that you've already uploaded. You just can't upload any new ones when the data services is no longer available. So Security Link. Why have we introduced Security Link and what's the buzz here? So vehicle manufacturers, as you more than likely know at this point, in the last many years manufacturers have implemented security features to prevent unauthorized intrusions into their system. So if we think about FCA vehicles, that Jeep that got driven off the road, the FCA secured gateway was the first one to come on the scene. There are other manufacturers either currently that have this or they're on the way. Security Link was introduced at the spring 2022 software release, and that's what we're talking about. Just want to reiterate it for you. The latest software release will be required in order to be compliant with the manufacturer's ever-changing security processes. So that's another reason why the tool needs to be current, because if the manufacturer decides they want to change their security protocol somewhere in the middle, the tool will need to be updated in order to access those whatever new protocols or demands that the manufacturers have. So in order to keep current with that, the tool has to keep current on the software. Security Link will be a gateway to access secured systems as allowed by those manufacturers. Now, manufacturers may also require a subscription to their system to allow the authentication to complete. So in that case, kind of like Secured Gateway and Auto Auth with Chrysler vehicles. Manufacturers that do not require this type of subscription will be done in the background seamlessly. You don't need to do anything. You just have to be hooked up to Wi-Fi and have current software. We'll do the rest of the background work for you. So SnapOn will handle all the required development to allow access to these secured systems. And the only example of that we have right now is Ford. 2018 and newer, Ford vehicles have secured functions that are locked behind a gateway. As long as your software is current and as long as the Wi-Fi is connected, you will be able to access those vehicles, no problem. You don't even have to do anything, no usernames, no passwords. Just make sure your tool's up to date and make sure you have a Wi-Fi connection and you'll be able to access those tools. You can go into these vehicles and say you wanted to cycle the AC clutch, won't let you do it. It just locks you out of the vehicle. So that's one of the examples of the behind the scenes. And those are the only two that are out there right now anyways. There are some more coming in the future and we're working on it. And when they're available, When the manufacturer makes it available, we'll make it. We're definitely ahead of it. So whenever you don't have to worry about not being able to access these vehicles as the manufacturers make their changes. So speaking of data services, and really anything that's on the web is what we're talking about here. So if you have an intelligent diagnostics product like a Zeus, a Triton, or Apollo, if you do not have a subscription or your data plan has expired and your tool is not up to date anymore, you lose all of those services, the TSBs, intelligent diagnostics, service resets and relearns, SureTrack, SnapOn Cloud, OSPEX and resets, tire wheel service, and security. Now, if you were out of date on one of those tools and you happen to just buy a single software update, you would still receive access to TSBs and these other things in green, but you still would not have access to intelligent diagnostics or the service resets and relearns menu. So really the ideal way to keep your tool up to date, and actually the least expensive way to keep your tool up to date, is going to be that software subscription, right? And then with the other web-enabled products like Verus, Modus, and Solus products, when your bundle goes out of date, when your software goes out of date, you lose access to those web-based things. Otherwise, if you have active software, current software, whatever that happens to be, it's going to be full access. As we said, so it's really the point is you got to keep your tool up to date in order to access this. So a few notes in summary. So if your scan tool is on subscription or a data plan and your access expires, you need to just install the latest update, because you can be on a subscription, paid up, or on a data plan that you already paid for, and people still might not update their tool. I don't know why, but they might not. So make sure if you're on a subscription, if you're on a data plan, update it. Otherwise, if you purchase a single title and your access expires, you must purchase the latest update or put your platform on subscriptions. Easiest way to keep it up to date. Some manufacturers may also require a subscription to their system to allow the authentication to complete, such as AutoAuth for FCA vehicles at $50 a year. SecurityLink is not for access to security systems requiring an LSID license. So you hear the word security, you think, oh, I can program keys. No, that's not what it's for. It's for other things that are behind security, like a firewall type security on the vehicle. Remember, subscribing your tool is always the best option because it's always able to be kept up to date. And it's just a simple, easy monthly payment. All right, so that's the vehicle communications software. Now let's talk about something else that's also near and dear to my heart, and that is the guided component test. I talk about this all the time. It is a wonderful feature of these tools, and it is a Snap-on exclusive feature, and it does get added to every time the software gets updated. It used to just be only in the fall release they do a big update, but they just update it every time now. So you're getting constant new guided component tests in there. Really good growth in there, especially in the ABS. Looks like they focused a lot on the ABS system testing. 15% growth over previous, 7% in ADAS, 9% in transmission, 8% in engine. So really good growth there. Here's an example of one of the new ones, 2020 Audi A4 object detection sensor test. So this is added. We can see the pinouts. We can see the where to connect the tool, where it is on the vehicle. Here's the 2020 Volkswagen Atlas with a park assist sensor, similar type component, but on a resistance test. And then another thing that was added was 2019. This just an example is from a 2019, but a Ford police responder hybrid vehicle ignition test. So some of the police responder vehicles are hybrids now, and we didn't have component testing coverage for this engine before, and now we do. So that's a good add for those of you who work on those. I know there's a lot of town garages, motor pools, highway departments, things of that nature that work on the police cars in town, or the state police, or whoever, the sheriff's cars. So they may have these vehicles and need to work on them, and now that is readily available. Also, I wanted to remind you, I always remember, but remind you that there is on-the-job help on the tool all the time. 65 different categories of classes inside the guided component test module. When you go into guided component test, before you ID a vehicle, first button, as long as you're fairly up to date on your software, should say classes, or maybe it says training in classes. And then you have access to these, everything from basic electronics like Ohm's Law, all the way through CAN bus, network testing, hybrid vehicles, all sorts of different classes. Like I said, 65 different categories. Here's an example here of a radar cruise control on just a generalized radar cruise control or adaptive cruise control on a vehicle. So that's just an article, tells you how that works. If you ever wanted to know how that system works, there you go. got that there. All right, so there's my highlights. Stay tuned because I'm going to talk about a really, really awesome contest that we're running, but that'll be after we go on the tour. So definitely stay tuned for that, though, because it's pretty cool. All right, so first off, I have two Zeus here. I have one that's on 22.2, which would be the current software, and I have one that's on 22.4, which is the software that's going to come out next week. So we're going to do a little comparison between the two. So I have a few vehicles that I've picked that have differences between the software updates. The first one I'm going to do is this Hyundai Palisade, 2020 Hyundai Palisade. And we're going to talk about the custom data list, the advanced custom data. So if I go in a scanner, and this is going to be available on any of the tools that are able to receive the update. So let's go in here. Okay, so if we go, let's say we want to go into engine, we want to diagnose a drivability. And let's say this drivability problem, it's not quite bad enough to set a code. It hasn't set a code yet, so I can't use Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics and Smart Data. So instead, I can go in here into my regular data stream. And I'm going to pull up my data PID. So if I just go into common data, let's say, just your base engine data, we can see there's a lot of data in here, dozens, if not hundreds of data PIDs. I'm not going to count them all, but there is a lot. As you can see, I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it's not stopping on both sides. There's a lot of data on these new cars. Data overload is definitely a thing. So if I wanted to, I could manually go in here and create a custom data list. And go up to where it says custom on the top. And then you can see I see all my PIDs that were there listed on the screen. I can deselect them, just look at a few of them if I wanted to, whatever they happen to be. Go over to my lists, and then I would just have those. Right? That's how we were manually able to. So that's the old way. The new way, I'll flip over here. My 22.4 tool, and I'm going to load that same Hyundai Palisade right here. This tool's been lagging. Same vehicle, same thing. We're going to go into engine, and we're going to go into data stream, and we'll go into that common data. Still a large amount of data, both sides. If I go to custom now, it looks a little different. So what we have is all the different data categories here are listed. So I can build a custom list across data categories. So since this box is checked off, that means all the data is available right there. So it's everything's checked off, everything is set up. Oh, there we go. So you can see they're all selected. If I click this, it deselects them, and then I could actually just select them from there. Or I could change my list. So let's say we're looking at a drivability problem. Instead of looking at the common data, maybe I want to look at misfire data. So I can select that, go back to my list, and now I see my misfire data. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 PIDs for misfire data, because it's going to give me my emission relevant misfiring and my catalyst damaging misfiring on those. And pay no attention to those numbers. It's just a simulated thing, but I don't see anything with oxygen sensors, lambda sensors, air fuel ratio sensors. I don't see anything with fuel trims, fuel adjustments, what have you. So I want to add that in. So I can go back to custom, and let's look in, well, where do I think that is? Probably in ignition and fuel data. So we'll open that up. See my injector time, ignition, oil temperatures. Let's see, fuel adaptation. There we go. There's a couple fuel adaptations there I might want to look at. Let's see. How about fuel pressure too? Maybe I think it's a fuel pressure issue. So I'll add a couple fuel pressures in there as well. All right, there we go. So we'll go to list view again. And now we'll see I have all of my misfire data down here on the bottom. And then I have the adaptations on the top and the pressures on the top that I had from that other list. So I've now been able to build a master custom data list. So that's a huge enhancement over where we were. We already have great data handling on our tools. So this just brings it up to the next level. So as I said, it's over 20 makes now. Pretty much any make that doesn't have, that has data categories It makes it just have just all the data all on one page. We can't, there's no categories to build across. So pretty much any vehicle but that, and then GM, the way it presents the data, we don't have that at the moment. But pretty much any other vehicle that you're going to find out there, you'll be able to do one of those master custom data lists. And I think that is a really great upgrade with that. Okay, so that's my data. Let's go over to back to my folder tool. And we're going to pull up the Mustang Mach-E. So this is the one we did a big ad for Ford in here. Big addition for Ford, not an advertisement. So there's my Mach-E. And you see on 22.2 software, 1, 2, 3, 4 systems on that, just 4 systems. And then oil specs and resets. So let's go back over to my new tool. Pull up the same vehicle, 2021 Mach-E. Go into the scanner. And you can see now I have, it's too many to count, 41 actually, I counted them already. But there are a ton of modules in here. We got even like the battery energy control module, which would be the main battery control module for the vehicle. I think I missed that one. There we go. Remote desktop's working a little slow today. All right, battery energy control module. Let's say I wanted to look at special functions in here, like battery health. So this is going to tell me the state of charge on the high voltage battery. So if I go in here, I can do either the full cell list or I can do the different modules in there. Let's just do the full, see how many battery cells are in here. So we got capacities, voltages. There's a lot of batteries in this thing. Let's see, so 96 cells in there and a bunch of thermistors as well. There's 6 thermistors. So 96 batteries, so we can get voltage, capacities, etc. on these batteries. So we can see, oh, well, that one's way, way low compared to all the other ones. You know, one battery can screw up a battery pack for sure. So just, hey, if these are the vehicles you're working on, and they are going to become more prevalent, whether we like it or not, they are going to be more prevalent out there. And if we want to learn how to work on these and learn how to repair these, we need to be able to have the software to do so, because a lot of it through the manufacturer is going to be scan tool based software in order to do that. So just be aware of that. There's the Mustang. And then the last thing I want to show you before we come back to the slides is going to be the Ram. 2019 Dodge Ram with the diesel. That's the SCR stuff. So we're going to go in here, load this Ram with the 3-liter V6. Got to go through a security link session. It is a newer than 18 vehicle. Okay, and then that'll be under the engine. And then that is a under miscellaneous functions where we're going to find them. But if I go on this one, all I get is ECU information. It's going to give me like calibration IDs. So we switch over to this one. Same vehicle. All right, there we go. Go in engine. Same computer, same miscellaneous functions, and now it's a lot of new stuff in there under those miscellaneous functions. So we got SCR fill, dosing module replacement, wiring harness replacement, diesel particulate filter regen, pressure line replacements. So catalyst resets, tank fluid resets, system tank, all of these different things that deal with the SCR vehicle, extend mileage with SCR faults, clear def pumps, all of these different things now added for that 3-liter diesel engine. So those of you who work on those of you who work on the 3-liter diesels, that's I'm sure that's a welcome addition to that, because well, I'm sure these SCR systems aren't perfect. I'm sure they break down time to time. So definitely a good ad for you folks there. How will we do? No. We're going to talk about the contest. That's right. We're going to talk about the contest. So that's my time there. Got a few more closing thoughts for you. And this one's really cool. Really, really cool. So, and this is like one of the easiest contests we have. And the prize is pretty ridiculous. This is a very simple contest to enter. Anyone that owns a SnapOn scan tool, anyone that owns a SnapOn scan tool that is able to be updated to 22.4, let's put it that way. As long as you can install 22.4, which is the fall release, on your tool, and as long as it's updated before the end of the day on December 31st, you are entered to win this diagnostic workstation. It is a 36-inch Epic roll cart with a hutch. It has a Zeus inside with a dock, and it also has one of the 27-inch touchscreens mounted on the back on the slots and dots. It is all self-contained. You know, you can open and close the front. Retail on this is $24,000, more than $24,000 US. And this is open to anyone in North America. As long as your tool is updated, like I said, up to 22.4, which will be the latest release that comes out next week. And we're giving away 10 of these. 10 of these. One winner per region in North America. So we have 10 regions in North America. One winner per region. It's going to have this unique custom wrap, and your name is going to be on the wrap as well. So I think that is a really, really cool contest, and I wish I could win, but I can't. So you guys can, though. As long as you have a SnapOn scan tool that can receive the fall update and you update it, you're entered to win. No other purchase necessary. So I think that is pretty, pretty cool. Also, remember, we do have free training. I do this every Tuesday. I do a industry topic every Tuesday. I go to YouTube, I go to Facebook, all over the place. Plus, we have on the tool training. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Self-paced training is going to be on our website. We actually have like the buttonology, and here's a guide through your scan tool classes, self-paced videos. Also, the YouTube channel, which I'm going to show you with the content here in a minute. What's on that YouTube channel, plus more. And then, of course, my buddy Al, don't forget about him, does platform training 3 nights a week. So he does Apollo on Monday, Zeus on Wednesday, and Triton on Thursday. And then I do my industry topic training every Tuesday, 6 and 9 Eastern on either of those days. If you want to see any of our past content that we've done as far as that, those Tuesday classes, so ADOS, data bus testing, component testing, electric vehicles, VVT, etc., all of these classes are available for free training on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/SnapOn Diagnostics, make sure you check that out as well. All right, time for questions. So if you do have questions throughout this, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you use the live chat. If you're watching on Zoom, just make sure you use the Q&A box. I see I got a question or two in there, but just make sure, I know some of you came in late as well. So just some instructions, give that YouTube. Let's see, custom data. Let's see, Jerry asks, is the custom data saved for later use or must be set up each time? So what we're going to see, actually, let me bring my tool back up here. So what it's going to do, and I don't think it works in demo mode, but we'll see. I'm going to pull up that Hyundai again. I don't think this carries over in demo. But yeah, so if we go in here, you'll see it lights up, it says custom list. So let me do that again. So let me do my misfire data. And then let me add in, oh, not that one. I'll just add in a couple of figures. Easy enough. Oh. Let's put a couple of those in there. There we go. All right, so there's my custom list. If I exit out of there, now the custom list is lit up. If I back up, go back into data, it's going to save a custom list. So as long as I'm still in the vehicle, I can go back to that custom list. Doesn't attach it to the history, but as long as I'm still in the vehicle, it's going to list that custom list there. And if you don't have a Zeus, it's just going to show up as the first thing. So you'll see a new entry added there in the front that'll say custom list. So it just depends on the tool how you have. Thanks for the question. So Kenny asks, for the Epic and Zeus contest, do customers that update to 22.4 for subscription or BOGO entered? Absolutely. As long as they have 22.4 on their tool by the end of the day on December 31st, you're entered. So that, like I said, is a super easy contest to enter. All you got to do is keep your software up to date. And as long as it's done before the end of the year, you're good to go. So the software comes out next week, updated next week. Don't have to worry about it. It'll already be there. Good question, Kenny. Yeah, that's a pretty awesome contest. Like I said, I wish I could win. Kenny wish he could win too. There, being an employee and all. Let's see. Yeah, Jerry, definitely a plus working on the same car. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome contest. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to wait a minute. Sure you can. I'm not a fast typer. Mike's getting a message on my Verus that the update is available now. That is possible. There is a service release too that came out a little while ago. So that might be for that. But hey, if it's got a message on it and it says updated, update it, right? If you're, I guess if you're not on a subscription, then you have to go talk to your franchisee. But yeah, just get it updated. Gerardo, cost on the new update. Talk to your franchisee because I can't tell you. It's because there's a lot of variables. So just talk to whoever your SnapOn rep is, and they will let you know how much the new update is. And if you don't have a rep, then we can figure that out. Maybe you can talk to customer here. Let's see. Kenny's also asking more right-hand drive vehicles being introduced like the European builds. I haven't seen anything yet. Nothing yet on that. We did add the European built vehicles back in the spring. I know you guys up in Canada like that. Not that I have seen as far as Japanese. I did see a really cool Skyline at my kid's preschool the other day, though. It was an R33. It was pretty nice. All right. Looks like we answered all the questions. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about what we're doing here with the latest update. And there's obviously more than I can get into in about a half an hour. So we really only touched the highlights. There's a ton of information in every single update, including this one. Lots of additional service resets and relearns. I see the numbers going up and changing there as well. Always new fast track intelligent diagnostics data. All of that stuff gets updated regularly as well. So definitely check that out. Mike, thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed. With that, that's my presentation. So hopefully you had a few key takeaways there. Hopefully there's some things in there that'll help you out in the bay diagnosing vehicles as soon as the update comes out. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. I know it's going to be rainy for some of us here on the East Coast, but enjoy it anyways. And hopefully we'll see you on one of my next seminars on Tuesday. So have a good night. Oh, another question. Oh, thank you. Take care, Kenny. And all of you, have a good night. Take care.